Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Ask Parul. So continuing with our series of NRI taxation, we have our esteemed guest Mr. Chaitanya Garg. He's a co-founder of File My Return and Investor Sati. File My Return is a very renowned firm in taxation and compliance back in India. Mr. Garg has done his MBA in finance from IMT. He also has over 2 decades of corporate world experience in some of the high growth sectors in India, such as telecom, logistics, and aviation. Hello, Mr. Garg. Welcome to my channel.
Hello, Parul. It's an honor to be here with you. It's absolute delight. I watch your channel regularly, and there are a lot of insights which you provide to your viewers. Thank you for
Thank you
having
so
me.
much. Thank you. So, no, it's a pleasure of mine, Mr. Garg. So, I think because this is the first episode, and what I wanted to do is that have this as the most basic thing. We'll cover things around how do we define NRI, a little bit around the benefits of NRI taxation status, how do we maintain status of NRI, and then gradually, as and when we move further in this series, we will have more additional complex topics because that would allow a little bit of momentum, and of course, people will be able to absorb this content easily. So, Mr. Garg, I'll start with the first fundamental question. As per what's there in the textbook, how do we define an NRI, which is a non-resident of India?
Well, it's a perfect question to start with, Parul, and I was expecting it. Let's start. Okay, so if we were to define clearly who an NRI is, so NRI, a non-resident Indian, is an individual of an Indian origin or nationality who resides outside of India for a significant part of the year. Uh, because of his limited presence in India, he's counted as a NRI. Now, NRIs are also referred as overseas Indians because they reside overseas. So, the Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, the FEMA, and the Indian Income Tax Act have outlined several specific guidelines defining NRI, meaning how they are counted as an NRI for legislative and tax purposes separately.
Right. So, is there any defined criteria that determines the NRI status? I think I read somewhere that the rule of thumb is 182 days, I believe, in a given financial year.
So, under Section 6 of the Indian Income Tax Act 1961, it states very clearly that who is defined as an NRI or who are the resident of India. So, if we were to define who is a deemed Indian resident, then he will have to fulfill any of the two criteria which I'm going to speak about now in any of the previous year. Here, previous year, when I say when it starts from the period of 1st April and ends 31st March. So, those are the 12 months in which we are counting as a previous year. So what is the first condition? First condition, if they're residing in India for a tenure of 182 days or more during the previous year, that was the condition which you also just spoke about. And then the second condition, if they stay in India for 60 days or more during the previous year and 365 days or more during the 4 years immediately preceding the previous year we are talking about.
So in 4 years immediate. Okay.
Yes. So in a sense, 182 days or more, that's a condition one. Condition two, 60 days or more and 365 days or more during the 4 years immediately preceding the previous year. So that's how any of these two conditions, if one meets, so then he is deemed to be a resident in India. In case a person who is not fulfilling any of these two conditions, then he acquires the status of an NRI in that previous year. So that is the definition of who is criteria for determining the NRI status.
So maybe it would be helpful if you can just give one example. So let's assume let's take an example of last financial year from 1st of April 2023 until 31st of March 2024 this year. Let's assume this is the financial year. So if you can break these conditions and explain, I think it will be easy for the viewers.
Definitely. I'll do that. So let's talk about your status. So if you were present in for 182 days or more during this 1st April period till 31st March. So and that 182 days has not got to be in a block of continuous period. So it can be in a break also. So you came in April, left in June, then came back in August and left in October, and so and forth.
Cumulative.
And you cumulatively you were there for 182 days or more, then you are deemed to be a resident in India for that particular previous year. Now, if we were to speak about the next condition, condition two, in case you were to fulfill that one, you were there only for about, let's say, 61 days in the previous year. The previous year gone from 1st April 23 to 31st March 24. And the 4 years immediately preceding this financial year, 23-24 se pehle ke jo, the four previous years, in those period, cumulatively, you were there for about 365 days. So then also you will fulfill that criteria of being a resident in India. So that is how you would define yourself. But in case you were there only for 60 days in the previous year, and cumulatively you were not able to get to the 365 marks in the previous 4 years, then you are still an NRI for Indian taxation purposes.
Right. Okay. And I think for ease of use, I would be giving a calculator as well. I know in ITR website there is a calculator. If you just put in the number of days and
Yes.
dates, you can easily understand whether you're an NRI or a resident, because I remember it can be confusing. But yeah, I think that's pretty clear to me. So the next question I have is that are there any relaxation to these rules, or maybe any additional point that you would like to highlight?
Yeah. So, Parul, what had happened recently through the Finance Act 2020, there was a relaxation which was brought in into the condition 2, which I spoke about. As per the change norms from 1st April 2021, that 60-year time period under condition 2 shall be changed to 120 days in
60
special
days to
cases.
120 days. Okay.
Yeah. So what is that condition which it needs to be fulfilled to qualify for that 120 days criteria? Is that if an Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin, his income exceeds rupees 15 lakh per in that previous year. So then that and also the total income in that previous year in India does not include your foreign income from foreign sources. It's only the income arising in Indian territory that will be counted and regarded. And in case that income exceeds 15 lakh rupees in that assessment year, then the person will be deemed to be an Indian resident only if he is there for more than 120 days. So if I were to explain you in some simpler words, let's take a case where the total income under Section 6(1)(a) of Income Tax Act in assessment year 21-22 was above 15 lakh rupees. And it's excluding foreign income again, and what I would like to repeat. Then he will be deemed to be an Indian resident only if they are not liable to pay any tax obligation in any other country.
So 120 days in India, right? Or outside of
One
India?
in India.
In India. And if we flip
And
it, let's say,
plus, additionally, apart from 120 days, he or she will still have to fulfill that 365 days or more criteria during the 4 years immediately preceding. So it's only the change between 60 to 120 days that is what has made the change.
okay, so as on today, there are three criteria. Number one is that if you are residing outside of India for more than 182 days, you are an NRI. So
Right,
by default, you become an NRI, right? I mean, or
right.
you have to also look at condition number 2 and 3, or is it the first
No,
condition which is the most important?
if you're not fulfilling condition 1, then you will have to look at the condition 2 also. Either or condition. It's not that if you are not fulfilling 182 days, then you do not need to look at condition 2. You will still need to look at the condition 2. In case condition 2 is also not being made, then condition 3, where the relaxation of 60 days has gone by and it has become 120 days.
Okay, so the first one is 182 days. The
Right.
second one is, which you are saying, is that 60 days has become 120 days. And the third, which you are saying, is that 365 days.
Its second condition is 60 days
Oh,
plus 365 days in the previous 4 years.
okay.
And third condition is instead of 60 days, it's 120 days plus 365 days.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so I think, yeah, that's clear. So basically, three conditions, and it's either or, not and, right? So
Not
that's in
right.
a nutshell. Okay. And Mr. Garg, are there any benefits of having NRI status versus a resident? My understanding is that the taxation works pretty much the same. There, of course, except for few differences and nuances. But if you can elaborate a little bit further, that would be helpful.
Yeah, there are a lot of benefits when I come to NRIs,
Okay.
and many are not aware, honestly. So
Okay.
there is an NRI quota. You would not believe that there are NRI quotas available in premier educational institutes in India, whether for NRIs, PIOs, and OCIs, and foreign national, there are NRI quota available. So there are quota seats for various branches of engineering, law, medical, management courses for those NRIs who are willing to study in India. That's the benefit number one. many are not aware. They would simply say that
Wow.
we'll need to apply as a foreign student, but no, you can apply as an NRI.
Okay.
So that's one. Then you are allowed to purchase real estate in India. There are certain guidelines definitely that you would need to abide by, like FEMA or income tax guidelines. There are certain restrictions also around there in terms
Mhm.
of you can't purchase a farmland or a agricultural land. Those are acceptable, but then you can very well take it as an investment vehicle, keep it as a take a property, buy a property in India, and whenever you want, you can sell it across. So there are no restrictions on that side. Then there are seat reservations for NRI candidates in every important polity. So
In every
whether
important, sorry.
important polity in any Lok Sabha elections or,
Oh,
that way there are seat reservations for NRI candidates as well. It's a different thing whether you fight and you win or lose. That's a different piece. But then you are eligible to fight an election in India. Okay, you have a full right to vote in national, state, and local elections. That's the fourth benefit you have.
but
Then
tell me
apart,
something on that voting. Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Garg,
hmm,
but I thought that once you become a PR, you can't vote, right, in India?
only for NRIs, there are certain pieces where you still
Okay.
can, right? So then on the fifth one, that's the tax benefits. That's the main important which everyone seeks forward. So as I was telling that there's double taxation avoidance agreements. As per this terms of agreements, if NRI resides in any of the countries forming part of that agreement, they do not have to pay
Right.
double tax on the income fetched from rent or anything or the 4 5 sources which I told about just now. So they can simply pay those taxes in India, file their return, show that tax credits, take that benefit of the tax credits in the resident home country. They do
Mm,
not need to pay double taxation at all.
correct.
So there are certain accounts like NRE accounts. You are aware of that. NRE
Mhm.
accounts, if you operate through that, then any FD made through an NRE account, that is that interest income earned, it's not taxable at all.
Correct. Correct.
Then apart from that, there are many deductions which are allowed as per Income Tax Act to NRIs as well. Uh, Limit might be slightly different for them, but overall the benefits remain the same. Like under Section 80C, 80D, 80G,
Mm,
80TTA, Section 54, 54EC, these are all allowed to NRIs. It's not
right.
that you can't, being an NRI, you are kind of disallowed those
Penalized.
exemptions.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, you are still, you can avail those benefits of those
Correct.
taxation.
No, perfect. I think, and of course, we'll touch upon all these when we are doing our upcoming episodes on the
Yes,
ITR filing, where we will talk in detail about ATC, ATD, and what they can
definitely.
claim, what they can't claim, etc. But I think, yeah, some of these benefits I wasn't aware. So
Yeah.
it's especially that quota thing is amazing. I mean, I never knew that you in education institutes you have special quota for NRIs. That's good.
So one of my niece recently, she had applied for a LLB course, BA LLB course. She had given her CLAT exams in India, and she was residing in London. She could have got admission out there also, but she preferred to come back in India and study her law. So
Mm,
she took advantage of that, and but she secured very well with marks in her CLAT
mm,
exams, and she was able to secure admission through NRI quota as well as under her choice of college.
right.
So IIMs, IITs, they all have those
Okay.
quotas.
Wow. So I think yeah, that's a big key takeaway for the viewers. If you are watching, then yeah, definitely take advantage of that because I feel like India's education system is great.
Yeah.
I mean, like I myself done most of my education over there, so I think it's definitely, especially IIT, IIMs, and there are so many good institutes. So yeah, I think if you are watching and if you want to take advantage of this specific quota, feel free to do that.